Hey everybody, Thomas Joseph here, and today I am super excited to share with you a how-to for a zabaione or Sabayon. Now this is a classic sauce that's used in both sweet and savory applications, and with the right formula, this will be very easy to make at home. So let me show you how. So to make a zabaione, which if you guys don't know, this was a classic Italian dessert sauce that was made with egg yolks, Marsala wine, which is a fortified wine, a sweet kind of oxidized flavored wine, and sugar. And it's typically served over fruit or with cakes or in trifles. But the recipe or the formula can be adapted in so many different ways, and you could use it in both sweet or savory applications. So to start, probably the most important ingredient is the egg, more specifically the egg yolk. And that is really what gives this recipe, this sauce, it's really great kind of frothy, foamy, rich texture. So to separate eggs, you could either do it in the shell like this, you guys, where you crack it on a flat surface and then use the two shells to kind of rid the yolk of the white. And this is going into a heat-proof bowl, guys. The other way, which is kind of, I don't know, maybe the restaurant way or the food service way, is to crack the egg right into a bowl, and then using your very clean hands, you can separate the yolk from the white very easily. Now, if you were separating these whites for a meringue or something where you had to build up a lot of volume, you want to make sure that your hands are super clean because you don't want any fat or soap on your hands that would inhibit the volume forming from the egg whites. So whatever method you're more comfortable with, you need 6 yolks for this recipe. So I'm gonna keep going here. Now, as I mentioned, this recipe started off as an Italian creation back in the 15th century. So it's a pretty old recipe, and it's typically created with that really rich and delicious Marsala wine and sugar. Now, in the 1800s, the French kind of picked up this technique of having this light, frothy, and rich sauce, and they decided to rename it from zabaione to a French version of that, which is a Sabayon. And that can either be a savory application or a sweet application. So now that I have my yolks, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. So this is 1/3 cup of sugar here. And typically, I mean, to start off, if you just wanted a formula for how you would make this sauce, it's almost equal parts everything. However, you can adjust the amount of liquid that you add to this to have a lighter kind of sauce. So start off with equal parts, but you can grow the liquid portion if you'd like. Now today I'm using dry vermouth. Dry vermouth is another fortified wine. It's used a lot in cocktails, but I love using dry vermouth when I'm cooking to deglaze pans in a sauce like this. It really has a great flavor to it, an herbaceousness to it. And you want to make sure when you're cooking with vermouth that you're using the dry vermouth. Don't use the sweet vermouth. So I'm just going to add this right into the bowl, and I'm gonna whisk these ingredients together, and I'm doing this off heat. Now, the one thing that you're really not gonna achieve is volume if you don't include heat. That is kind of the other component to making this delicious sauce that is really necessary, because what it does is it helps to increase the volume here. So once this is all mixed together, just like this, I'm gonna go over a pot of simmering water here. So I have a little bit of water in this pan that's bubbling away, and a heat-proof bowl set over top, and I'm going to whisk this together. You don't need to do this vigorously, you guys, but you do need to do it constantly. And you can whisk one of 2 ways. Now, most people kind of whisk in a circular motion like this, but this doesn't really encourage volume to build in the mixture. So if you can, and this is good practice, you guys, kind of stir or whisk in a figure-8 pattern. And what this does is it agitates and foams those egg yolks and the rest of the ingredients here, and really encourages a lot of volume to build up. Now, I'm using vermouth today in this recipe, and as I had mentioned, classically this sauce is made with Marsala wine, but you really can kind of customize this recipe in whatever way you see fit. Now, for those of you who don't mind using alcohol in your sauces, you could use another fortified wine like sherry. That would be fantastic. You could use a simple white wine. You could even use red wine. If you wanted to add extra bubbles and volume, you could use a sparkling wine. That would be really fantastic. But if you didn't want to use a spirit or an alcohol as the base for this, you could also use things like espresso, which I have here, lemon juice or orange juice, or a mixture of citrus juices would be really fantastic. And also, if you're doing this for a savory application, like if you're serving it over fish or with chicken, you could use a really delicious and flavorful chicken stock or fish fumet, which is a fish stock. Even a vegetable stock would work here, and you'll get a really nice sauce. Now, in addition to the three components I have here, the sugar, the egg yolks, and the alcohol, if you're making this savory, omit the sugar altogether. And what you can do at the very end is you can add a little bit of spice, or you could add a little bit of herbs right before you're ready to serve this, and that will really give some more dimension to the sauce, which is really fantastic. So this is gonna take about 8 to 10 minutes until the volume here builds, and you want to kind of almost quadruple the volume that you have. And don't forget a pinch of salt here. And I'm going to whisk this over heat for about 8 to 10 minutes until it quadruples in volume. All right, guys, so it's been about 8 minutes, and you can see how amazing this looks. Now, I am all done here. It's quadrupled in volume, and you can see, you guys, how nice and thick it is, and that it's ready when you pick up the whisk, and it leaves a trail of sauce on top of the zabaione in the bowl. And this is so beautiful, you guys, and delicious. Now, serve this immediately. That's kind of the one thing about a zabaione, that you need to serve it almost immediately, otherwise it starts to deflate, over some beautiful fresh fruit. I'm using raspberries here today, but you could use your favorite fresh fruits. You could easily layer this into a trifle with a nice soft sponge cake, serve it with little crunchy cookies that are crumbled up like those amaretti cookies. Now, if I were to add in a little bit of pepper to this, maybe a little cayenne, it could go really great over fish, even though it has a little bit of sugar. Now, you could certainly make this without the sugar and you'd have an equally delicious sauce here. It would go great over some steamed artichokes or steamed asparagus or broccoli or whatever you have. So there you go, guys. It's not as intimidating as you had thought. Now, as always, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have any kitchen conundrums, reach out to us using the hashtag Kitchen Conundrums. We love to hear from you guys. And as always, guys, click like and subscribe.